Hello and welcome everyone to the Tower Project. I've got a very special video for you guys today. We're going to be doing our very first top 5 Medieval 2 Total War video. And so in this specific video, we're going to be covering the top 5 best units for the money. Now, I'm not going to be talking about the top 5 best units overall in the entire game. These are the best bang for your buck. If you're low on cash and you need a unit that can perform a lot more than for what you're paying for it, those are the type of units that are going to make this list. Let me explain to you some of the criteria that's going to constitute the units that make this list. The first criteria is variety of effectiveness. That is, how many situations can these units generate value in? Now, of course, this list is going to be heavily focused on the multiplayer side, because in campaign, there's really not going to be too many situations where you're so hard tight on money you need to make choices on which unit to take. That's not like peasant archers or just peasants themselves. If you're a competent player in Medieval 2, you shouldn't have too much trouble getting a decent amount of money built up in campaign. So primarily, this is going to be a multiplayer focused battle, though these principles can certainly be taken into single player as well. So variety of effectiveness, how many different situations the unit can be useful in and generate value. The second is the mathematical criteria. Let me explain this to you here on the custom battle screen. So here's how I come up with my mathematical criteria. Let's just do a unit example here. So let's take dismounted dvor. So what I would do, the goal of the mathematical criteria is to determine how many skill points I'm getting per each florin that I'm spending. So what I would do is I would take all of the skill points for the dismounted dvor. 11 plus 15, 26, plus 3 is 29, plus 11 is 40. So a dvor, each individual dvor archer in that unit has 40 skill points. I would then multiply that by 48, which would give me the total skill points for that unit. And then I would divide that by the cost of the unit, which in this case would be 770. And whatever number that gives me the cost per skill point for each unit. And so the units that give you the most skill points for the least florins will also be heavily weighted on this list, but that's not the only criteria. So without further ado, let's get into number 5 on the top 5 best units for the money in Total War Medieval 2. Coming in at number 5 on the list is the Eastern Crossbow Militia. Now these are available to a couple of different factions: Poland, Russia, and the Moors. Though there is a slight variation in the Moorish unit. The Moorish unit costs 30 florins more and has an additional defense. So now that we've had some beautiful cinematic shots here with them up against this nice antiquated cathedral, let's flip back over to the custom battle screen and let's look in depth at the stats of the unit. So here we are back in the single player section, and here we have the unit brought up, Crossbow Militia in Poland. They're also available to Russia and the Moors, though like I said, there's a slight variation with the Moorish unit. They have a defense of 8 but cost 330. Now here's the Western variant that I was comparing them with here with Portugal. You can see these Crossbow Militia: attack of 2, defense of 1, charge of 1, missile attack of 9. They cost 80 florins less, but you lose 4 attack and you lose 7 defense. And you also become vulnerable to missiles because they have no armor. So for every florin that you pay, the Crossbow Militia give you a lot more bang for the buck for that 300 florins. Now, to give you the total score for this unit, mathematically speaking, you'd take the total of all of their stat points here. So attack 6 plus defense 7 plus their charge bonus and plus the 9 missile damage. That gives you a total of 23. You multiply that by the 48 men in the unit. That gives you 1,104 total skill points per unit. And then you divide that by the cost of 300 florins. That gives you an overall score of 3.68 skill points per florin spent. Coming in with a double hitter on the unit value scale, Poland's Woodsmen. Poland, of course, taking both the 5th and fourth slot with their Crossbow Militia, and now the Woodsmen. Now, Woodsmen are also available to Russia as a faction, so both Poland and Russia taking the first 2 slots in our unit value comparison. Now, with some beautiful cinematic looks of the Woodsmen, of course, in the woods, and the beautiful Edwellis map. I believe this is supposed to be in Switzerland, and you can look out. Oh, that's actually pretty nice view right there, with some beautiful Polish axemen there. Just got done hard day's labor in the forest. Some nice cinematic shots there, looking out over the beautiful landscape. Let's flip back over to single player and we'll look at the unit stat tips. Well, the breakdown on Woodsmen is pretty incredible. You get 13 attack, 1 defense, 4 charge, effective against armor, and good stamina, all for 170 florins. That is only 60 florins more than a peasant. Now, the total mathematical score for the Woodsmen coming in at a whopping 5.08 skill points per florin. They're actually the second highest on our list for amount of florins, for amount of skill points spent per florin, excuse me. Coming in at number 3 on the list are England's Heavy Billmen and Heavy Bill Militia units. Stat-wise, they're the exact same unit, just with a slightly different name. Now, the unique thing about Heavy Billmen on this list, they're the only unit on this list that comes with the well-armored tooltip. You can't see it on this screen, but once we flip back to the single-player screen here, we're going to see that they have the well-armored tooltip, and you can see without the armor upgrade, they come with a base armor of 7. That's actually really good armor. The highest I believe you can get to is 10. So the fact that these guys have a very good armor stat for the amount that you pay for them is what makes this unit incredible. Let's flip back over to the other screen and get the detailed look down. At only 300 florins per unit, Heavy Billmen are definitely one of the most versatile units on this list. Attack of 15, defense of 10, and a charge bonus of 5, effective against armor, well-armored tooltip, and good stamina. Now, the thing about Heavy Billmen is you're getting a unit that can withstand a lot of arrow fire for 300 florins. Mathematically speaking, the English Heavy Billmen did pretty well on this list. They came in at 4.8, just 0.2 points away from the Woodsmen that we saw in the number 4 slot, but you get a lot more value, and they're only 130 gold difference for the amount of armor that you get for an extra 7 armor, 2 attack, and an extra charge. That's a ton of value for 130 florins. English Billmen, Heavy Bill Militia, very good. Now, the Bill Militia and Billmen units, respectively, are not nearly as good for the money because they don't have the heavy armor. But the Heavy Billmen varieties can generate a tremendous amount of value for what you're paying. These guys can decimate cavalry as long as they don't get charged. Taking the number 2 slot on the list is not the Great Cross, but it is the religious fanatics that come behind it. Now, mathematically speaking, the religious fanatics dominated the statistics pool. No other unit was even close to the religious fanatics as far as the amount of stat points you get per florin spent. Check this out. 13 attack, 6 charge, 1 defense, but here's the secret. You get 60 men per unit, not 48. So when you add all that up and you do the math, the religious fanatics come in with 6.6 stat points for every florin spent. That's a full 1.6 stat points per florin higher than the next closest unit, which was the Woodsmen in the number 4 slot. The other amazing thing about religious fanatics, they cost, we'll flip back to the single player screen to see the cost, but they cost 180 florins. And they have the good morale trait. These guys will stick around forever, and they have 2-handed weapons. They have a high attack of 13. They're not effective against armor, but they have a high attack of 13, 60 men in the unit, and good morale, which means as a meat grinder for units to have to cut through, These guys are great at that. And coming in at the number 1 slot, the absolute best value as a unit, in my opinion, without a doubt, the Pike Militia. These guys are insane what they can do for their cost. Not only do they have excessive armor upgrading potential, as you can see here, but they can form the pike wall, they can form the spear wall, they have the amazing pike animation. Check out the video I did on pikes. If that pike tactic of using the backspace attack to keep the men stabbing with their pikes, if I didn't know that, then these guys would probably be at the number 2 slot and the religious fanatics would be at the number 1. But if you can utilize that tactic with the Pike Militia, these units can legitimately generate multiple times the value of what you pay for them at 150 gold a pop. Let's flip back to the custom screen and take a more in-depth look at the best unit in the game for the money, in my opinion. So why did Pike Militia make number 1 on the list? Well, they don't have the best skill point per florin mathematically. They only have 4.0, which you'll remember religious fanatics had 6.6. So they don't have the best amount of florins that you spend getting the most skill points. But the fact that they can give you that pike formation and stab through and give you all of that for 150 gold and they don't have terrible morale is a huge plus. Now let me show you here in a very quick custom battle just how crazy these Pike Militia can trade upwards when used properly. Now in this video, I'm again going to be using the tactics that I demonstrated in that Pike video that I posted a few days ago. Please, if you haven't watched it, go back, learn the tactics I'm talking about so you can trade upwards like this. Now I'm going to go a little out on a limb here, and I'm going to try to generate even more value than I plan to, just because I think it'll still work. I'm going to go as the Holy Roman Empire, and I'm going to try to do the following. 2 Pike Militia, spending a total of 300 gold, beating a dismounted conquistador. Grassy plain. Let's see if I can do it here on the Tower Project. Prove that my top 5 list is legit. Now, conquistadors would certainly go on a list of best overall units, but you are paying quite a bit for the privilege to use conquistadors. And this is, of course, a value video. What can I get the most value out of every florin I spend? And I don't think you will find a better value than these Pike Militia. So, again, I have my men in even 3 ranks deep, stacked on top of one another, slightly staggered, spear wall active, guard mode disactive. Let's wreck us some conquistadors. I really hope this works so I don't get embarrassed on my own video. And, oh, I'm going to almost be too late there. And backspace attack. And let's see how it goes. Come on, Pike Militia. Win this for me.
We are being defeated.
Oh, come on, guys. Get them pikes down. Stab those conquistadors. I know you can do it. Oh, my gosh. It was not supposed to be quite this close. Oh, this is a nail biter. Come on, guys. There's only one of them left. And oh, it's the general, too. Watch him win this. That would be so funny. Let's zoom in. All right, boys. All right, there we go. We managed to win that. So there you see. Oh, we actually even got a heroic victory out of it, too. So I spent 300 gold, took out almost 700 gold of conquistadors there. No other unit on this list, except for maybe the Crossbow Militia, if you skirmished really well with them, would have a hope in anything of beating conquistadors, even if I gave them 2 of the units. But Pike Militia just showed you how much value they can generate. And as we say at the end of every video, thank you guys so much for watching. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you watching these videos, subscribing, liking, commenting on them. We look forward to continuing to impress all of you here in the Total War community and putting out a lot more high-quality content just like you see here. So tune back in tomorrow for another brand new video from the Tower Project, and I will see you guys then.